You're not welcome to the podcast. The first track hearing is actually Demetori, Wind God Girl. My fucking god, what a track. It's symphonic metal, if you haven't guessed. And I think, I could be wrong, but it sounds like the first time, almost first time rather, the Demetori tried metal. I could be wrong. It goes insanely hard, if you couldn't already tell. And it's so good. I remember learning some guitar early on. I made the first CDLC on Rocksmith, I think. It didn't turn out great, and then I changed it, and it still didn't turn out great. And so I just gave up in the end. But it's a good song to learn, really fucking hard. It's not hard because of the complexity of it. There were complex moments. Some of the melodies on the lead were hard, but the main part for me was just spamming that fucking rhythm. How do you even get the fucking stamina for that? Like, how much gripping do you need to do with your hand to get that to fucking work? It's insanely difficult. Like, Jesus Christ. But I love this track because it's just so heavy in the symphonic metal side. And also it's quite fast as well. It's not the fastest song ever, I'll be honest. It's probably faster than Demetori tracks, technically speaking. But it's still pretty fast. It's just impressive in every fucking way. Yeah, I do think this is a great track, and I love it. There's not really much else to be said about it. I do like the breakdown. The breakdown's simple but effective. It's kind of all you need for some breakdowns anyway. So I've got to check something else, like on that side. Nope. Weird fucking noise outside, and then someone in their porch has a flashing light. I don't know what that is. It's annoying to get distracted. Fucking stupid. Yeah. So that's the song. So if you haven't listened to Demetori, why not? What's wrong with you? Let's move on to the first topic. No human is legal. But I don't think people actually mean that. I'm going to be honest. I've seen these posters and these terms a few times, a phrase as well. And they're mixed up recently, I don't know why. And it's just so frustrating to see because there is an inconsistency here, like massively. And the big problem with this, in my opinion, is it just encourages a narrative that is essentially against it, because people do find reasons to make someone quote unquote illegal. Believe it or not, I've even found reasons. But it's not to do with immigration. In fact, it's not even to do with anything to do with fucking race, colour, or even just where someone comes from or how they're born. It's more to do with what people become. And this is why I take issue with it. For me, the big issue is the fact that people who are deemed obviously illegal, it's because there is a fundamental issue. Like, I'll throw this out there again, something like paraphilia, which has been in the news a lot recently. But paraphilias are very much a reason that people become illegal, as in the fact that we're even illegalizing people in itself is a problem. Like, nobody should be illegal, even with paraphilia. And that's why I say these people aren't actually believing in what they're preaching. Like, I'm calling out the hypocrisy here, if you haven't guessed. So I don't think such a thing actually exists, unless you actually prescribe to it by every meaning of the word. There are certainly cases where I find myself that I probably, there is in a rare case anyway, that people don't deserve to be on the street. And that's only in the cases where they have no empathy, they have no will to change or anything. And obviously you can't demonstrate it. It's those sorts of people that should be illegal, if I'm being honest. But at the moment we're focusing our attention on at least in America and also the UK at some point, focusing it on people who are of a certain race or skin colour. What a fucking waste of time. Oh my fucking god. It's a waste of resources too, a waste of money, it's a waste of every single fucking thing. Like, it is atrocious. And the fact that people aren't even discussing the other part of this I've literally just explained is proof that people do not understand the arguments they're putting out, which itself is extremely ignorant. And of course I'm sorry to the people who are obviously on the side of being progressive or, again, fighting against immigration, but you're unfortunately paired in this because there is no way in hell, but it says hell, let's be honest, that you can actually preach this without being consistent. Like, it's insanely difficult. You have to be consistent with this to preach it, in my opinion. That's why I think there is a massive issue. So, I don't know what to add here, to be honest. This is all I wanted to say, but for the first topic, I know it's not the nicest one. But it's a hard truth, it's a tough pill to swallow. I don't know. But to me, the only solution is to read up on things that relate to anything that's integral to human beings, like it's inherent. That's what I'm trying to say here. That's really important, so please keep that in mind. So Highguard is out and it's not looking good. No surprise. I will say it's not as bad as I thought it would be, I'll be honest. And that's primarily because the announcement made it look worse than it actually is. And, you know, I think only like cinematic trailers can show us some aspect of a game. And this wasn't cinematic, it was actually in-game rendered, which is crazy. But the main problem with it is it just didn't fucking show anything. Like, Jesus Christ, it felt like every other single first-person shooter out there. Like, on the store page, it's only been out for, I think, an hour? Maybe half an hour? I'd say an hour. That's when it was supposed to be released, and it was. And then I was stream skipped and stuff. Looking at people play it, and obviously this is based on observation, not actual gameplay, so I could be wrong, and can admit that. But I've seen things here that just don't make sense. Like, the graphics are fine. I don't have an issue with that. The art style, though, in terms of characters, no. I think it's shit. It looks like everything else. Like, do these look like Valorant characters is a question I have, like Valorant characters. Let's see. Because I didn't like fucking Valorant based on the idea of it. Hero shooter with CSGO, CS whatever. Well, I'd say there's a bit more diversity in this one. Got people with glasses, masks, robots, cyborgs, unshaven, bulbous. So it's got fair diversity in all honesty. In terms of design, appearance, I'm mentioning here. It does look a bit sort of like League of Legends, I think. I think Overwatch is probably, in my opinion, the king of a hero shooter. At this point, hero shooters. Overwatch 1 specifically. Because yeah, it has a very distinct design. But it's just so shit seeing not only the lack of characters, but the lack of anything going on in Highguard here. What's it called? A Vanguard. Highguard's already a game, I think. Highguard, like, what the fuck? So the actual trailer itself showed nothing. Things leading up to this, and there was like nothing. No hype, no trailers or anything, as far as I know. This is what I found anyway. And finally it releases and it's disappointing. It just looks so bad. The gun gameplay doesn't look that interesting to me. The mount system looks janky as fuck. Like, the fact you can ride it and shoot is in itself an issue. I don't know why you can do that, because it makes the gameplay really unbalanced. Just the hero element of this as well doesn't seem like unique to me. So it's all a bit all over the place. And then when I saw the showcase videos I was watching on a stream as well, where they showcased how to play the game, it was even more fucking confusing. There's like so many things you can do which just don't make it that good. Like, just because you make things or put things together or mix them together doesn't mean it actually is going to be good. I know I suggested a long time ago, back when I was playing Heroes of the Storm, like, oh, I wonder what a MOBA, like not hero shooter, but just, you know, first person shooter would be like. And even years before that, I was thinking about MMO first person shooters, which obviously Destiny has done and did poorly. And I just wasn't that keen on the idea. Like, Deadlock was the first game I think I've seen in recent years to do the MOBA sort of thing where you kill minions and have like towers to defend, I think it is, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know if it did well or not. It's one of those Valve games that releases out of nowhere, nobody's really sure. Didn't hear much about it, didn't see much, and that's really where it landed. And then obviously we've got Highguard here, which is not the same, but it felt like it could have been similar. I think the resource management thing is a weird one. I don't know what that actually ties into, like doing the whole mining thing, looting things, as Carnage is doing here, watching on the side. Like, the rarity of weapons, like, what the fuck? What is the point? There's not even any stats. It's just not very well designed. Like, you got grey, blue, purple, that's the only stuff you have. I don't know about hero design itself, well, in terms of abilities, but it doesn't look very engaging, I suppose. It's got anything of use. What is this in the store? Yeah, the store thing's a bit weird. I think you can upgrade things, from what I could see there. For some reason you have limited ammo, but you get like tons of bullets, and combat only lasts a few seconds. I think two of the biggest issues here as well as the mounts being janky, it seems like the size of the maps accommodating the mounts doesn't really work. Because in the end it's just travelling. It's not actually anything of importance. You're just travelling a lot of the time. And on top of that you're doing a 3v3, so there's not even many players you can even shoot at. I guess it's hard to balance a game with like in terms of health stuff and, you know, trying to get everything the right damage and then having more players, but in the end I think having tankier enemies, or players rather, and more players is probably the better option. There was one game that did as well, Team Fortress 2. If you want a perfect example of how to do 12v12 or 16v16 in some cases, in a casual game, nobody takes it that seriously, but it's still fairly balanced, except for random crits. Team Fortress 2. Also, I think it did it well, and with the types of game modes as well, I think it did it even better. It sort of incentivises like teamwork and strategy, encourages players to experiment as well. In this game, Highguard, it seems like you can't do that. Like, it's missing so many of the elements, and TF2 itself had fairly sized maps. Like, some were big, and they accommodated the expansion of the maps, if there were any. Like payload maps, for example, often like 5 stages, after you capture like the first or second one, you'd unlock a new spawn, and obviously the enemy would go back because that was their spawn initially, and then later on the same thing would happen again, and then that'd be it for the match, I think, or the map rather. And I can't remember, do you switch sides in casual? I can't remember. Pretty sure you do. You go like from attackers to defenders, and you get a different perspective of the map from that. Like every time I think back to TF2, it's often fond memories about how well it was designed. Just from the ground up. The different weapons, the different actual fucking maps, different characters as well. Let's not forget that. It's pretty much a hero shooter anyway. Just not that they're heroes, they're actually just mercenaries. And it's interesting for that reason. Like, I don't think any other game had done that at this point. And in fact, TF2 did it. It's fascinating. But I recommend people try it if you haven't. You know, I don't recommend spending on it. That's the only problem. You shouldn't have to spend or buy the weapons because it's stupid. Get the premium pack at most, and it doesn't cost much. It's like £6, I think. And then start trading weapons for other ones, like collect them over time with the random drops. You'll get there eventually. Also do achievements because they drop some weapons. You don't need the achievement weapons really. But yeah, like, there's so many things that you can do. Like, also just the fact you have a progression system that's not tied to fucking microtransactions. You could do it however you want. You could trade for it, you can hope it drops, you can do the achievement. There's nothing there that makes it premium. Unless you go for the cosmetics, you're not really paying a high price anyway. I'd say cosmetics, it's like skins, hats, you know, the usual spiel that TF2 unfortunately has, but I think it could have been done better. Yeah, there's so many things that could have been done better in Highguard, it seems. It's just a shame that it was like the main highlight for the Game Awards, which it shouldn't have been. That's just stupid. Why? Why was it the fucking main highlight? Are you kidding me? It's just so dumb. I really don't understand that. So yeah, sour taste for sure. See, if I were to try it, I'd give my honest opinion, or the honester opinion. I just made up a word. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. There's not really much else to be said. I need to try and cut these topics short so I get them out of the way, obviously. So let's move on if I can find and stop recording. There we go. Yeah, two other things to add to this I've got for Highguard. Optimization I've seen mixed responses for, and this is on like a me JP, and yeah, it seems weird how 1590 is not performing to standard. I don't know what the fuck the deal with that is. It seems a bit strange to me. So yeah, I don't know what that's about. He's getting like on 4K max settings 80 FPS, which itself sounds good, but that's an issue because, once again, you should be getting that on a high-end graphics card, let alone system. So it just doesn't make sense. So I'm a bit weirded out by that, to be honest. But then the other thing is I'm looking through the reviews, which I've forgot to check. Let's look at them anyway. 333 is not the right format for this game. 100% agreed. I was going to mention this in the same sort of thingy section. The same section anyway, because I'm adding to it. But this feels like a game that should have been for more players, like at least 10 players, I'd say. Tops. Not tops, but least. So you can't have tops and least in the same sentence, that doesn't make sense. Unless it's like a gay thing, but that's a different topic. But no, it's actually not designed for 3v3, that's the other thing I just noticed. Looking at the combat and how quick it is, it does not make sense for a 3v3. Or you're just playing cat and mouse all the time, or mouse and cat, or cat and cat, or mouse and mouse. We have a conundrum. But that's not how you design a game. If you look at all the other games where it's like an objective, you go to that objective, you stick to it, and you don't chase each other around the fucking map. Unless it's for like an easy kill or something, but that's another thing of someone just trying to run. It's the whole point. But it's not good for 3v3, especially with how quick it is. Also, there's no health bar on the enemy, so you don't even know how far you're in. It would probably be hard to check if someone's cheating as well. Like, God, they got legendary weapons. Fuck. That's stupid. He just dies anyway. Got point blank shot and fucking died with a shotgun. Jesus Christ. That is atrocious. But yeah, like, you can look at TF2 as a great example for more players. It just makes more fun. Even then, it means more gameplay. But if you want like an example of a really good game, like Battlefield 4, from what I remember when I used to play that years ago, was a very fucking good game. Because it was a map that has obviously your travel, your gun gameplay, your strategy as well, and you could just do whatever you want most of the time. There's people are stealing vehicles, but you'd at least get like a tank or a car. And even though the car could be fun, I think they even had like turrets on the back, if I remember correctly. But even like Battlefield 5, which I'm pretty sure was like a blast to the past, question mark. Was it based in World War One or World War Two? I can't remember. But even that had planes, that had like air movement, they had, I think, even mortar strikes. Like, there's some fucking insane stuff on there. And that was a great idea for a game. Just went through, because even though Call of Duty was the first to technically do that, I think, the fact that there's a game with the actual vehicular combat and capabilities in itself, it just makes it far better. So obviously those experiences are much better of a game than what we're seeing here in Highguard, where you've got massive maps and nowhere to fucking go. And it's just boring. Even watching this, I'm pretty bored. The only thing to look at that's nice is just the maps, like texture, the fucking appearance of it. But there's nothing else to look at. Gun gameplay is boring, the team gameplay is boring. Just nothing going on. Even though they tried to fucking stretch it out, it just doesn't work. So I don't even see the point. So I better look at some other reviews, see what they say. Bear with me. After 3 matches, I'm done the structure of the game. It's just weird. The defensive stage doesn't make any sense. When all the reviews, the relevant walls rather, have doors that can be blown up anyway, and doing stages, the map is too big and too empty. It's only 3v3, and the only things in it are red and blue chests and the crystal things, I guess. Would have made a lot more sense with a 10v10 mode. Exactly what I was saying. 3v3 just feels wrong. You either get steamrolled or work steamroll quick. Unfortunately, if you don't like the default game mode, too bad, because there's only one available. It's an ugly game, even. The design's correct, Max, is it? Well, to be honest, like, I'm not in-game, but looking at the title screen, the grass is a bit off-putting, yeah. I can see that between the stone, at least. The artwork is not bad, it's also not AI generated, it's fine. What else is there? Come on. Is Code Carnage, is the game gonna fucking load? There we go. Oh, you see a low poly version of it, quite. What the fuck? No texture. It's like, I don't know what this is, like East Asian area. I I don't know, the textures aren't bad, there's some nice bump maps on there as well. So I guess the ugliness is more to do with other aspects. Like I've noticed the waving grass and stuff and parts. They do look a bit off-putting. Online error, as usual. It's just stupid. Yes, I don't know if I agree with the graphics part exactly. It's again to be seen. See another review. Game runs poorly on RTX 5080, Ryzen 7 7800X. This is a big computer. It's sort of like the one I want. TLDR competitive shooter slop that runs like crap. By being more like TF2 arena-esque large scale, instead we got 3v3 competitive shooter that doesn't really stand out from projects that often go in this genre. And I'll wait a bit in the queue because time is another review. Also, it doesn't put me in the game. 120 FPS at low settings, 80% to resolution 1440p, 4080 super. That is bad. Like a competitive shooter with low FPS. Jesus Christ, I get that players will go to low settings, but even then, low settings doesn't mean it redeems it. In fact, in some cases where it's like TF2, you don't even run that high anyway. It's a CPU intensive game. And depending on where Highguard obviously lies, yeah, it's going to vary. It's just going to vary a lot. But I don't know. Sorry. Got a random cough. But there's some positive reviews here, so let's look at them. The gameplay is fine. It's a radio industry, so it's not as bad as reviews make it out to be. Random hate for this game is unmatched all. It's a fun game, enough to play since it's free. Now I won't pay more than $20 for this game, but it's a decent FPS title. I don't know. Obviously, there are some people who will enjoy this. But I think for those of us who just yearn for combat and mortality, especially in a first-person setting, I think it's just a bad experience, and this isn't going to appeal to everyone. But saying the reviews are random hate for the game is just not true. There's a very good reason why. And these people have hours in the game, by the way. It's not random reviews, it's based on an experience. It's like how I've experienced badness in Devil May Cry games, which I talked about briefly. They're just not very good games in terms of gameplay, or I think optimization's a bit dodgy in some. I was just going to get along with it. So let's look at another positive. Look at the hate around this game is ridiculous, no matter how you feel about the game itself. It's insanely lame for people who are already review bombing on here. This is a unique game with a lot going for it. Give it a try before dropping a later review. It speaks exactly like a fucking, I don't know, that Gin Alpha. Like, you need to fucking experience a good game, like Battlefield. The review is not helpful, voting down. So let's look at another positive review. The first time I ever downvoted a review. Fucking hell. It's dumb. Leaving a positive review because I'm so told it's childish internet circle joke of previous and teens bandwagoning on a game because their favourite influencer told them to. Apparently no one has enough critical thinkings to form opinions for themselves. Wait, not voice, okay. They just echo whatever garbage negative is narrative of those popular in online spaces without a single word coursing through their empty hello shell of a head. So you're just reviewing the people. Half the hate for this game are from miserable man children, the other half from actual children, both too stupid to ever form a thought for themselves and are only looking for the spectacle of the size of Concord. No. Again, it's reads like the North one. Again, people who have played this, people who express their thoughts on it, and first impressions are very important. I remember when Fortnite and PUBG came out, and they were like mostly like positive reviews pretty much for them across the board. And this was like from players who played it for the first time and won a game somehow, because that's rigged that way. They put you with the worst players so you can they'll put you with bots at least in the case of Fortnite. And to say that nobody has critical thinking skills, like, it's 50-50 with that really, because it does exist, yes. You do get the hive mind sort of bullshit with influencers. But at the same time, you do get players who look into this and actually play it, like a lot of the streamers here, and they do have a negative opinion of it. And it just happens. It's what a review is. It's supposed to be based on experience, not a fucking influencer. And I think if you're basing it off influencers, it's not great. Protest, however, is a different thing, and we're going to touch that next at the moment. I've already talked about it before. And I think it's good to protest in certain cases when the game does like really bad. But at the moment, all Highguard has done is just be meh. I think it's just in the middle. Because it's not good at all. But it's not bad enough that I think there's nothing there, or things that cannot be fixed. I think there is probably ways it could be. Let's look at the more reviews. I don't know what's going to be anything different. I got an honest review. We're getting the rewards already, okay. It's quite a long review, so I'm not going to read that. Full body chills, this game made me cry. Fucking positive review. Fucking hell. Yeah. I don't really think there's anything positive around this. There's just a lot of positive reviews that are just fucking absolutely doing the opposite of a positive review, which I don't know if it's really helpful. Someone wrote there's a bear in the game. Is there? I don't remember seeing one, but sure. Frog Rider. Don't know what that means. It's just strange. Like, is that a review bomb? Is that like an anti-review bomb site? Why do I write white apology, bro? Yeah. Right, that's enough of that before my brain rots to death. So, let's move on. I should better express my opinion anyway. Even though I love that, I do feel like it's not great still, I'll be honest. It just seems very out of touch as a game, and it just doesn't feel very different to much else out there. It just feels like another disappointment, one we're probably going to forget in a few years' time anyway. That's a problem. I do wish it could be better. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. So, let's move on. And this is a bit of nostalgia. I was just watching a TF2. What is it called? Source Filmmaker, that's it, SFM. Where Soldier is doing Meet the Soldier in first person. It's interesting, but I suddenly got reminded of something. Watching that reminded me of the joy I had when I first watched Meet the Pyro, which was technically the first update I was around for to see, and it was amazing. It's glorious. It's where they added the Pyro Vision goggles, and I'm pretty sure completed the obviously Gibbous FTP set before it actually became FTP. But that was a time because my friend at the time was also quite into TF2 as a sort of game, not or like spectator, I guess, is more accurate term, but not a player. And you know, we both watched it, like fucking talking about it. It's like, okay, this is amazing. But we were just blown away by the trailer itself. We were like, I think either 13 or 14 at the time. But yeah, it's something to behold. It was great. It's a very positive memory to look back on. But yeah, you don't really get anything like that these days. At most, like, Overwatch has its character trailers, and even then it's not great, and Genshin Impact has their trailers, which can be good. However, it's that matter. You don't get anything like TF2's sense of humour or just way of storytelling. you get the cuts between the interview and observation, which is what makes it unique. Yeah, you don't really have that with anything else. Like how Pyro sort of done was pretty clever. Even the medic, I remember when that came out as well. That was actually kind of recent, I think. And that's the last one, I believe, because everything else has been released as Heavy, Scout, Soldier, Demo Man, Engineer, if I remember Engineer, Sniper and Spy. So it's just those two. And yeah, again, it's just a sight to behold. It was amazing. Just wish there were games that were like TF2 these days. It seems so disappointing that everyone's trying to be the same, rather than just updating a great formula like TF2. Although Valve should do it themselves. Let's be honest, they could be ahead of the game there. I don't know. It's just great to look back on. There's so many TF2 memories. I used to be a surf nerd. After I started playing Payload, I found surf service by mistake. Wasn't sure what it was, but I tried it and I liked it. I had a dream once where I became a surf god, and what do you know? I did. I played the hard maps with effortlessness. I didn't even know how I managed it. Yeah, I remember trading for the first time and stuff and outsmarting a scammer. So that was fun. And also moving on to Man vs Machine. Also Prop Hunt, I used to play a bit of Prop Hunt too. That was fun. Prop Hunt is so fucking underrated, I swear. If people find that these days, you'll be really surprised. It's again like another art form that's just missing. And there's also the Mario Kart maps. Like, I have such good nostalgia about that as well. Just hopping in the cars, finding out you can use like the use function to get them to move and control your own car, although it's only going in circles. But you could control the speed. It was always entertaining. And yeah, the map would casually have a picture of Mario calling you a faggot. Those were the times. But yeah, after the Gunmetal update, obviously, it sort of got shitified. It just never was the same again. It really ruined community servers, which was really the big sticking point for it. I think one of the ways that Valve could have addressed it at least is by allowing people to filter servers by the use of plugins or not. I think that's really important. Because one of the big problems back then, yeah, is that you get premium features and just random add-ons. Some would play sound effects, some would have roll the dice, some would have even gameplay enhancing features. I remember some servers, I think it was like Scale? It could be wrong, but I think it was Scale. But they were shit, because they had pay-to-win mechanics in their server. Like, fuck off. There were some cool ones where you can equip like unusual effects, which is nice. And also, they usually had like Halloween mode on as well, so you had those effects, which were great. And you could also wear the chicken Kiev, which is my favourite fucking hat ever. It's so funny. But yeah, again, it's like a lost art form now. It sucks. As I said before, I just really miss TF2. I don't think it's ever going to be the same again, which sucks. Like, if they remove the servers, I might actually go and play it. They remove the casual servers, I mean. They actually fix the community search and give communities more fucking servers. Doesn't matter. That'd be good. Imagine being able to host a server by Valve or something. That'd be crazy. Or just going to go to a third party, that'd be better. Yeah, that's TF2 nostalgia for you. Let's move on. So here's something I'm wondering, whilst Final Fantasy XIV is down for maintenance, annoyingly, was I even warned about it? But I was thinking about this because of the recent situation with a streamer called Kingsman. People don't know what that is. Kingsman is a Marvel Rivals streamer, I believe, and I think professional player. I could have heard that wrong. But he was involved in a controversy recently about his teammates basically ignoring him and essentially throwing a tournament for some money where he actually was serious about this and wanted to get the money to get him through to college, which is reasonable. Well, it's high stakes, for sure. There's no guarantee that he would win, but I think that this situation demonstrates exactly the problem with certain types of people and the society we live in. It's where people don't take things seriously when they should. And I know all too well about this. Because myself being autistic, obviously neurodivergent, I'm pretty sure I'm ADHD as well, I've had so many times in my life, even in adulthood, where I say something that's completely reasonable and rooted in evidence, and then it just gets ignored. I get a response like, no, we're just gonna do it my way, or something like, well, I forgot. Like, it's absolutely fucking crazy, and this exactly reflects that situation. I don't think it's really a case of people are like I don't know if it's like a purposeful thing or not, that's what I'm trying to get at. But I feel like it is purposeful, because it's done on purpose for some reason or another, and I can't wrap my head around that. You have to excuse me, I have to pause. I have a high heart rate for some reason. I woke up with that. Probably high blood pressure. It's just not fucking surprising. It's like last week or two rather, creepy up on me, but anyway. Yeah, ironically, it's when people don't listen that it becomes the hardest to cope. I've definitely had good instructions that aren't even like objectively bad, and I've had people just ignore it all the time, not just in real life but games as well. And I think this is really something that goes sort of hand in hand here. It's when people's stubbornness and closed-mindedness end up creating a festering of this really unhealthy mindset where they just choose to ignore any and all advice, even if it does change the course of everything. I sort of look to my party finder groups in Final Fantasy 14, where there have been occasions where, for at least the Antics content, like we give reasonable advice to players and it gets ignored. It's not really a case of a player just isn't learning, or even like it's the first time seeing the mechanic and getting used to it. It's more like they've done it, but the advice we're giving, I'll say like the third, fourth time around or whatever it is, it's just being ignored, and then we're not able to actually progress. And that's a problem in itself. I think people are often way too high up their own arses to even give a shit about listening to advice for some reason. It just consistently frustrates me. And I'm not really sure the easy way to address it. It's kind of difficult to put a finger on in that sense. But yeah, just hope that in the future we see people being more open and honest about these things. And I think if you are stubborn about something, the best way to go about it isn't to fucking outright dismiss someone. Is to actually question them on it, to actually get to the bottom of it and explain why you think they're wrong. But I think if you can't, then yeah, like it's just, you've already lost the argument. So the advice that's actually been given is actually correct. And that really proves it. It's often the way of arguments as well. At least from what I observe in day-to-day life, when you make an argument without creating obviously a good argument based on demonstrable evidence, it's not going to succeed. And if anything, if it's also asserted without evidence, it can be dismissed without evidence. yes, that still works here. It's been pretty consistent. And that's basically all it is. So, I think that's really important to know, obviously. I think that's the one way to address this situation. And as I do anyway, I call out people on the shit for doing stupid crap like ignoring advice, especially sound advice. So yeah, I'm not sure what to add, but that's my thoughts on this very much. So I'll move on. Yeah, I feel like I could talk about this. I don't know. It was interesting. But I tried Pepsi again recently. It's a goofy little fucking tangent, I guess. Anecdote. That's probably the better term. I just find it interesting because of just the fact that Pepsi used to be my favourite drink. And I haven't had it in a long time because of this fucking addition of aspartame, which itself is dodgy in nature at the best of times. And at the worst of times you'll die from it. Luckily I didn't die. I probably could have. Yeah. But I used to be a very big Pepsi person. And that was because I didn't like the taste of Coca-Cola. I liked the flavour, but I couldn't taste it. So that's what led me in a strange conundrum back then. And I used to drink it all the fucking time. Like when I was playing games and stuff at my mum's place, just had bottles of it every fucking day, and it was good. Yeah, I didn't mind it. It's probably what made me obese, to be honest, back then. So I guess I was like an obese kid anyway. It wasn't like stomach over my shit, but you know, it's close to. That's for sure. But yeah, I've got some thoughts about Pepsi, weirdly enough, and it is Pepsi Cola, isn't it? That's what it's called. So where do I start? I tried it again recently. Last time I ever had it, it's probably over 5 years ago. Even then I tried the Max stuff and Zero, and whatever ones with vegan. And yeah, I just wasn't that impressed with them. They're okay, but they weren't great. But the aspartame, obviously, big turn off, and I just don't deal with that now. There's no fucking point. So it's just like, nah. It's not worth it in the end. So fuck aspartame, and you know, I waited years and years for them to remove it. And I think they finally fucking did recently. Don't know why, but they did. It's just unusual for a company. So I figured I'd try it, even though it's got a bad one still, acesulfame. It's not as bad as aspartame, and I think I can tolerate that for the most part. So, yeah, I tried it today. Put about 500 milliliters in my dragon mug. It's a pretty cool tankard. Yeah, I recommend you get one of them, they're quite cool for drinks. And they also keep it cool, that's the other thing. I've had ice cubes in there in the summer, and it's just, you know, get back from like a bath or something, I don't know, like 40, 50 minutes later, it seems to be fine. Even though the ice has melted, it still keeps it cold. That's the point. It has to be stainless steel, that's the other thing. But as for the Pepsi, I think it was nice. Like, it tastes like Diet Pepsi, I noted here. And you know, I think that's a niche thing. I don't think everyone will like it, but I think it is still good. And that's enough for me, I think. I think I'm converted. Back to Pepsi. So, yeah, that's the thing. I think it's pretty important to probably go back to that. It's definitely worth it, I think. I don't see myself regretting it in the future. So there's some other things I want to note with this as well, which I found interesting. I think in terms of a drink, like both taste, texture even as well to an extent, even though that's not my focus. But the taste, the texture, and the nutritional value, like, Jesus Christ. Hang on, let me fucking look. Okay, thanks. trying to look up the nutritional values, but nothing's coming up. Good annoying. Okay, what? I'm not a robot. What the fuck are you asking me that for? Google is like really stupid sometimes. Isn't Tesco? Why is it saying access denied? I accessed it earlier, you didn't. Fucking hell's going on? Okay, let's try and find the closest thing. Find it. Oh, fuck's sake. This is stupid. Like, why do VPNs have to change location like this shit? And then just access denied. I don't know. Just the wrong place. Someone's probably uploaded it. I did calculate this, but let's compare it to a can, because I got bottled to try. I did get the numbers down for some of it, but the calories in a can, 330 milliliters, is 139. Take away, I see 80 of that, and you get the value for 250 milliliters, which was on the Pepsi one as well. That's measured by that. So you get, how much is that? Like 80 calories in a fucking serving? That's insane. And then Pepsi, for my soul, it's like 39 calories. So I had 80 calories in a 500 milliliter serving of Pepsi versus Coca-Cola, where you get 40. It's not, that doesn't sound that big, but it adds up. So it's already off to a good start from that alone. Then the other nutritional values, let me see if I can find Pepsi. See images. Yeah, that's not helpful. Let's go with short form. Not showing. Great. That's stupid. So that's a zero sugar one. Fuck off. Nobody uses that. I don't know. But I think the only ones that are relevant are sugar and calories. And I calculated as well the nutritional value from, say, Coca-Cola in terms of sugars. It's just massively unhealthy. It's actually so unhealthy, I genuinely don't know how it's legal. To me, it seems absurd. So I wrote down here, let me see. Like, you get 16% of your intake in Pepsi. No, it's 16% difference, not intake. They're based on nutrition value, so the difference between Coca-Cola and Pepsi is 16%, with Coca-Cola obviously being the highest. So, again, science not right here. Why the fuck is this legal? That's like per 250 milliliters, that's the crazy thing. Like, it's still a massive intake. If you have like Coca-Cola, even have a bit of it. But Pepsi, it's like, I guess it's about 14% I did see. Yeah, I think it's 14%, that's a 16% difference, yeah. Because I remember Coca-Cola being about 29.5%. Yeah, it's a massive intake. So already I'm like a 28% sugar intake from my tankard of Pepsi. So yeah, I find it very bizarre. Obviously it just highlights some of the scumminess of companies that, you know, seem to think they can get away with throwing sugar and everything, but in reality you don't always need it. In fact, there can be such a thing as too much sugar, and I even found Pepsi quite sweet. If I could have that. It's so weird. I remember having a drink and finishing it and being like, wow, this made me feel more sweetened than Coca-Cola. And it has less sugar. So it's very strange. Like, it's just a weird scenario. I'm definitely going to try more, I think, as long as it doesn't have aspartame. I'll see what my brain is like on asulfame for the moment. And I might do more research on that as well, just in case. But yeah, overall that seems to be the winner for me. Once again, Pepsi Man. Wait, what? Alright, so let's finally get this review done. I originally tried to record it and then I found out I missed an episode, and so I'm back and I'm gonna review it properly with every episode we watched from season 21, season 22. I think season 22 anyway, I didn't check that. So the first episode, it was very interesting. It was good. I wouldn't say it was like the funniest one. It did have some really good humour, but it was interesting because it was about the ALEXA craze, and also SIRI and GOGLE. Couldn't spell Google there for a second. Oh fuck. Anyway, it's about that. It's kind of entertaining. There's certainly some funny moments. A really funny part near the end. I definitely found that hilarious. They did a good job on that. But it's not a good start in my opinion to the series. I don't think it was anyway. Especially with like the Eric and Heidi stuff. Like, I was frustrated with something later in the series, and then it just, yeah, it makes sense. But I'll explain that. Episode 2, Put It Down, really good episode. I really like this because it's about Tweak and or it's about North Korea nuking them. Well, will they? Who knows? But it's quite meaningful as well. It's about taking a break from social media because that's what it's about. Episode 3, very good episode. Fucking hell. It's just, the thing is, like, this does what Simpsons doesn't do, and it's where it makes Randy go to the most absurd fucking lengths to do things. And not only is he just really stupid, but he's also just really fucking, I don't know what you call it, like unhinged, that's it. So like, this is the thing, I draw the comparison to the Simpsons here because the Marsh family pretty much is that. Although, it's kind of got the sort of anti-Simpsons vibe as well, because there's like really weird shit involved. But this is like exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, I just love this episode. Just the entire thing about the ancestry. Yeah, episode 4. It's an okay episode, nothing happened, just some good jokes here and there. Also, appearance from a crappy person. It's not actually a guest, luckily. Episode. Oh wait, so it was an okay episode, yeah. Episode 5. It's a good episode. It's definitely interesting, definitely funny at times. Episode 6. It's a good episode. It's about witches in South Park, which is interesting. Episode 7, Doubling Down. This is where things get interesting, but it's a good episode until the point about, obviously, Heidi, and I won't spoil it, but it's like, it's a bit strange to me. I think this was the episode, was it? Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was just not sure about that ending. Then, episode 8. It was a very good episode. I really enjoyed this one. Because it starts off as your normal Nathan versus Timmy and Jimmy for Nathan and Mimsy, and then it just goes into something else, and it gets really interesting. I love when they converge the subplots in some way. It is so fucking good. I just really enjoyed this episode. Then episode 9, fucking name of this, Super Hard PC-ness. It's a good episode. Definitely love the just the amount of jokes in this and the humour. Like, for example, there's a character that comes in later, or two actually, and it just goes hand in hand. It's so fucking good. Episode 10, final episode of this series, is very good. Certainly an interesting one. I somehow found some of the crappiest 80s music I've ever heard, which is certainly rare, because I rarely hear that, so it's interesting. But yeah, good job on that. And overall, this is a good season. It's definitely good. I would say it's above average, but it's certainly got its niche and its elements. it's something I can appreciate and obviously respect. And then we go into more fucking absurdity in such a huge way where I think my respect for obviously Matt and Trey even going to this point, even tackling a sensitive topic like this, definitely warrants respect. You know, even if I may not agree with it entirely. It has to be said. Season 22, episode 1 is a good episode. I think it's an important message about sometimes there being an overreaction about this topic, and you'll see if you watch it, it's a bit sensitive, let's be honest about that. But it is an overreaction, and to be fair, I think it's always been happening. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's been documented for years now. It is nothing new. Wake up, people. Seriously. It's just a frustrating topic, and you sort of get showering in this because, yeah, she'll care the most. Episode 2, though, very good episode. It was very entertaining, and I do like Max, Priest Max, as a character. He's definitely one of the most sane people in South Park. Other than that time when he fucked a prostitute in one of the early seasons, but we won't ignore that conveniently. But he's definitely a good character in this as well. And they seem to be visiting old characters, old topics here I noticed in this season. So you'll probably see a pattern here. Episode 3, The Problem with Poo. It's a good episode. And I think it's good. Also, I forgot to mention they put hashtag cancel South Park at the end of the episode. Which is funny. It's like, that's literally PC culture. Jesus Christ. It's like, why are we cancelling these things? Like, people have got their own opinions, yeah. But it doesn't make sense to blame the entire series. Like, unless the series has been spouting racist, bigoted shit the whole time and I haven't noticed, maybe cancel it. But I like how in episode 3 they... the ending is so funny. Like, you have to see it. I wonder if there's a clip on YouTube. I'll have to look this up. But it's so fucking funny and it's sort of relevant. Let's see. So yeah, it's it's phone footage, but then again, there's another one. Yeah, it's quite a funny ending, and just a cancel thing at the end. It's so entertaining. There isn't. Oh, there is a video clip, but it doesn't show the credits, which is annoying. But it says cancel X thing. You'll see what I mean. It's a thing where Mr. Hanky goes says. Episode 4. It's a good episode. I'm not gonna lie, it's something good. I need to open my fucking door because it's getting warm in here. So warm I'll take off all my clothes. Where was I? Episode 4, Integrity Farms. It's a good episode. It's only entertaining. Let's go with that. Episode 5, very good episode. It's quite interesting and just really funny. Yeah, well, there's not much to say about it, but episode 6, again, like the pattern thing happens here. It's a good episode. There's nothing else much to say about it other than the crazy plot reveal. But episode 7 really finishes it. It's a good episode, but for some reason, I don't know why, but South Park Uncensored has it as a censored episode. I don't know why. Like, the only thing I can find in this episode is that it's fucking gory at the start. Like, seriously, it's the most gore I've ever fucking seen, I think, in this series as a whole, this franchise. So I'm a bit weirded out by that, but it's actually a really good episode. A good episode of episode 8. It's an okay episode. I wasn't sure exactly about the point, but it feels a bit insensitive. I've already talked about this, I think, but the problem with this episode is it ignores the real problems around treating anxiety and doesn't offer a solution, but instead says there's a solution out there, but it's one size fits all, which isn't true. There isn't one. So it's a bit crappy from that perspective, but I think the message as well from the B plot is good. At least I think as a people. Yeah, the people, yeah. I think that's important. Then episode 9 is an okay episode to start the Amazon stuff again. But this time addressing the big boss. What the fuck is that noise? I don't know what that noise is out there. We've been bombed or something? Hang on, let me check. There's a song about this, like Russia, Korea, come fuck us in our UK. Come on, load. Load you motherfucker, there you go. There's a penis on my camera, I don't know why that's there. That was me. Anyway, back to the series. Episode 10, final episode, Bike Parade. I thought it was okay. I didn't really think it very highly of this one. I think it had some clever moments and also just the fucking Santa appearance. I thought that was funny. Yeah, I didn't think much of it. There wasn't really a strong message overall. But I'm not really a fan of this, in all honesty. But this season I actually did feel a bit meh for once. Didn't have bad episodes per se, but I didn't have the best episodes, and that's the main thing I think. I think overall it's actually a good series. I'm looking back on the ratings. Yeah, I'd way up. But it certainly has moments in it that surprise me. I think it's obviously worth watching because it's surprisingly more relevant than you think. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, that's my review of those 2 seasons. Well, it's been a while because the series hasn't really touched on any topics that I really focus on or care about. I do care about a lot of these topics, to be fair, but it's not like I have a good understanding of them given the time frame. And this is a recent episode, season 23, episode 4, Let Them Eat Goo. And it's an interesting episode, I'll give it that. But it's also a really confusing one, because of the message it just sends. I was immediately sort of interested in this because of sort of seeing a clip, I guess, online of it. Not sure if it's the same one though, I couldn't tell. But parts of this aged well, even though it's like a few years ago, it's like 2019, yeah. But other parts just didn't. And I'm not sure if it's because it's like, again, like it's literally satirical all the way through, or just an assumption that is often hard to tell, especially when it's obviously satire. So, I don't know. So that part's always sort of confused me. And it certainly makes a big change from, obviously, like, almost like, I don't know, like 15 seasons ago. But they're just called vegans pussies. Like, what the fuck? And now you have characters who are literally vegan. Obviously, Heidi was one. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. Was one. That's the important thing there. And decided to let horniness take over. Not horniness, fuck, wrong term. You know, when you want to get in a relationship and be more like your partner, I've been through that myself. That's why I obviously slipped up there. I think this episode has some interesting points. It's strange. It's about how Integrity is going to make hemp burgers, which would be interesting. I've tried hemp milk before, I mentioned, and it doesn't really taste much. It's like hemp seed, I think. I don't really notice anything different about it compared to other plant milk, so yeah. But I'd be interested in trying something like this. If it does exist, obviously a hemp burger would be interesting. And then I see the story has to be mentioned anyway. Randy owns a farm now in this season, for a few seasons I think. And he's growing hemp, or cannabis basically. And he's making a business of it, or trying to, and it's like most of his endeavours now. I mean, while at school they're serving fish with their food as a healthy and sustainable option, even though fishing isn't actually sustainable. I don't know what's going on with that, because fishing is definitely not sustainable. I've heard so much about this over the years. Like, first of all, sorry about that, trawling. It obviously pollutes the waters with like plastics and kills many fucking sea life. So it's immediately a bad thing from that alone. So I don't think that's exactly true. It's actually more climate friendly. It has less of a footprint, probably. I actually can't remember if it does. But it's still not great. And also just like the life that is killed from that is just, it's not sustainable in that way either. It's way too deadly of an operation. So anyway, that's the episode. Eric has a heart attack because of it. And he says, fuck you, Wendy. Randy goes to Burger King and gets an Impossible Burger to try, and says it tastes like shit. I'm not actually sure if it does. I've tried only one Impossible food thing, but it's because the UK doesn't have many. And it was okay. It wasn't a burger, it was I think it was like fish fingers. It's like, yeah, it didn't taste of anything. It literally did taste like shit. So I reckon the burger probably did as well, given there are already good fish alternatives out there anyway. I've tried a lot of them, like corn, for example, probably one of the best ones. The fish fingers anyway. I'm not sure if they're vegan though, actually I haven't said that, but there are others out there. Like Aldi has a really good fucking fillet version. It's buttered and everything. It's really good. Probably one of my favourites for a while. But there's also like green cuisine as well. You can't really go wrong with it. It actually tastes like fish. And you know, I don't really miss it because those exist, so it's good. But yeah, it's just like one example. One product being bad doesn't mean the rest are. It really varies depending on the brand. I think some do really well in terms of flavour and texture and even price, but others just do terribly. It's disappointing to see, but anyway, back to the episode itself. There are students protesting in school for more vegan food, including I think a kindergartner, if I'm not mistaken, with a vegan t-shirt. Obviously the girls are the ones who are protesting this, being they're actually quite, I wouldn't say like social justice wise, but that's actually more of a compliment than an insult at this point. I think a lot of people accept that now. But they're protesting to have more healthy options and sustainable options on there. And a lot of the people don't even take issue with the fact it's vegan, it's only Eric who takes issue with it. Ironically. It's not really ironic, is it? Actually, it's just, that's always been how Eric is. I think if you know South Park, you know what Eric's like anyway. Literally the last episode, he was squealing like a fucking pig. So you can imagine what he's like. So let's see. Yeah, they decided to make the hamburgers and make it more mainstream. If Gerald tries it, the hamburger, he thinks it tastes like shit and it's plant-based, but then eventually it kicks in, which I'm not sure if that's like obviously the hemp part of it, or the taste, I can't tell. I don't think they portrayed that very well, in all honesty. Like, it's probably the hemp, I'll just point to that as the part that tastes or feels good. Tally hit 12, and then goes back to school when Wendy's saying that they're upset that she's a generation that has to pick after their parents, and having to protest the change. And then she mentioned that millions of animals killed each day, which is unique. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a show actually mention that before. That actually caught me off guard a bit. Although it's technically in the billions, but you know, I don't think you can always be right. That's the thing now. Anyway, even I can't be right. Yeah, Eric has another fucking heart attack again. Another fuck you, Wendy. Fuck move. It's copy and pasting. What the fuck is Word doing with this shit? This is lightning thing, fuck off. So where are we now? Yeah, the school got a supplier for new plant-based foods, and it's a brand called Incredible Burger, which is obviously made up, I think. But I think this is actually more like a critique on just the names, obviously, because obviously Impossible were mentioned and Beyond were mentioned actually back when Eric was with Heidi, so that's like 2017, 2016, I think. And yeah, I guess this is more to do with like how it's basically under the scope of capitalism, I guess. And I'll sort of talk about that later when I get to the more relevant point. Yeah, they start to supply the school and they supply them with goo, which is kind of funny. Again, it's like a very satirical take. Obviously, they don't supply goo. Yeah. And the guy calls himself a family man and a vegetarian, which yeah is a bit like corporate speak, I guess. Like, it honestly does feel a bit like poking fun at like McCartney foods. I could be mistaken. But that might be what it is, but I don't think they actually sell things into restaurants, so I don't know. And then back to the episode. 13 pounds of grain to produce 1 pound of animal meat is what Brandy said. He's trying to encourage people to go to a vegan diet, which is interesting. Person you least expect to do that, but sure. He is open-minded, that's the thing. It's kind of one of those really flexible characters. And he's high as fuck doing it, and adopting a vegan diet is far more effective than switching to a greener car. Which it probably is. Like, I don't know if that's false or not. It's more to do with like the footprint. So like, as mentioned before, like the 13 pounds of grain to produce, there's probably more than that actually. 1 pound of animal meat. I don't think that's specific, was it? So I don't know what that was actually. Probably beef, given the burger topic. But it's probably true. I'm not well read up on the environment, so it's again a possibility. I do know it costs more, and it fucking is more taxing because of again the carbon footprint. It takes money and obviously resources to transport grain to animals or soy, depending on what it is. It causes deforestation, which then fucks up our planet's ecosystem and the atmosphere. And that has to be fed to a cow who also needs water, and all that needs water too, so there's more transportation, more fucking waste of water. It just goes on and on. And there's just like no end to it. They're so corrupt that they literally don't give a shit about this in those industries. I guess it's a bit sort of not ahead of its time, but again, it's quite factually true, this statement. Again, I could be wrong, but anyway, let's move on to the next bit. Integrity Burger opens a restaurant sort of thing now. They think Eric's going to flip over the incredible meat, and it turns out Eric doesn't mind it, which is surprising. And you would have thought he would notice, they just didn't mention it this time. Like, they actually sort of learned that lesson there to an extent. It's like not showing them, which actually, that's genius, I didn't realise that. That was actually the point. It's showing Eric that even though you didn't know this was literally plant-based, you still liked it. Which again goes to show. Like again, a lot of these blind taste tests end up proving a point. It proves a point about how people are wrong about how this food tastes to start with. It's crazy to me. I've given people who aren't vegan, or are strictly not vegan, some of these foods to try. Like whether it's, say, a vegan chocolate alternative or cake alternative. Like mainly junk foods, let's be honest. Don't really like the vegetable stuff. They have like curries and stuff like that. It's often the case that they prefer it to the meat-based alternative. But the only reason they don't switch, I think, is because of convenience and obviously just what they've grown up knowing. Because obviously there's a big age gap between us. I'm not the youngest person in my family, but I am close. That's me, so like probably second youngest. That's only on one side of the family, having said that. Yeah, blind taste test, literally people can't tell the difference. It's not surprising. So yeah, that's pretty accurate. This incredible guy keeps introducing himself as the Goo Man. So fucking silly, but funny. I have to laugh. And he tries to sell it to Shitty Wok. He wants to make some incredibly shitty Mongolian beef. But he ends up finding Integrity Burger and making a big deal out of that. And then there's this really interesting part where Randy's on the farm. And he's minding his own business, and then the neighbour farmer, comes by and brings all his cows over. And you can probably see where this is heading. But basically he's saying that they're useless, and now Randy has to deal with the cows because he's not sure what to do with them. But he's like angry saying this, not actually like calmly saying it. So like Randy's left to deal with this shit. It just sucks, I suppose. But he doesn't know what to do, so I think what happens next? I can't remember. But it does highlight the hypocrisy as well. This is one of the interesting parts of this. I don't know if this was intentional, but it does literally highlight the hypocrisy of farmers when they say they care about their cows, they care about how they're treated, and then they just fucking abandon them. Like, this is literally the problem. This is what vegans have been saying for years now. It's not even fucking about the amount of cows or it's about the hypocrisy. When people don't actually prescribe to the words they're saying. And obviously that's an issue. But the bigger issue is the fact they're exploited, and that's one of the biggest points that I make these days. That's why I pretty much prescribe to veganism, but not under the label of vegan. It's just no point. And it's better that way as well, because then I could tell people that I'm not vegan. That's actually true. I'm just not making an excuse to exploit animals, and that's the difference. So what happens next? The teacher munching on the burger's a bit weird. I think it was like because it made them high, if I'm not mistaken. Was it a hemp burger? No, wait a minute. No, it's not. No, I don't know what that's about, actually. I don't actually know what the fallout was, because Integrity didn't go to school. It was incredible. So I don't know. So maybe it's like poking fun at the idea that it makes people malnourished, which obviously hasn't aged well because that doesn't actually happen. You don't just get malnourished within a few weeks of having plant-based fucking foods. It's stupid. Nobody does that. So yeah, that's a bit odd. Then Eric learns about the Goo Man, and then Randy decides on the farm with Tally he has to get high and kill all the cows. And they're actually killing them. Yeah, they actually animated this, by the way. Then Eric's having a discussion with the Goo Man, finds out it's made in a lab, which is somewhat accurate, sort of showing the future of obviously plant-based meat. And then there's this weird claim saying, you see, it doesn't work unless I own all the places. And I think that's literally calling out the no ethical consumption under capitalism, which itself is true, but it doesn't have a alternative, at least one that's viable within people's range, within their scope. So it ends up becoming a null and void argument, unfortunately. I've admitted this since I first became vegan. I remember when I first tried the KFC burger and sort of getting my thoughts on it, and people started saying, "Oh, you can't do that. It's fucking. There's no capitalism. What? No capitalism to ethical consumption? What?" But that's kind of what they think. Literally, there's no capitalism under ethical consumption. Literally, according to the corporations. That's the worrying thing, is that people actually believe this, and then they go out and buy something under the scope of capitalism by going into a supermarket, by going online and ordering something from a delivery service. There's like tons of hypocrisy and no alternative. And this is my problem. It's not the fact that people do it. It's the problem that people are not giving an alternative. And this in itself is shitty, because you then are just calling out people to make them feel bad, rather than actually do something effective. Rather than buy, say, a new iPhone, you could buy something like a Fairphone. Something that's close to it. And not many people are saying that when they say, "Oh, you buy Chinese phones." Are you fucking kidding me? The options are right there. And you're not even bothering to look into this, and you're calling it out. Why not call yourself out? In that case, there's a bunch of bullshit. It's crazy. But anyway, the episode is starting to wrap up here. People call their farm on camera, like basically referencing the whistleblowers, obviously. Because obviously Hemp Burgers was a vegan company, it seemed. And some whistleblowers or people recording them for some reason caught them killing the cows. And now everyone's mad at them. And yeah. So that's how I fucked them over. And this is actually one of the things that probably aged well here. I guess the whistleblowing part, obviously. This still happens. People still break onto farms and record their abuse of animals. And it's not just the abuse, it's like the practice. And this is a point a lot of people miss when they criticise the footage or people taking it or whatever. It's like, oh, you're just recording people being shitty. No, that's in the industry practices. You can literally find this online. You can read up on it, and you can even read up on the sort of verifications for sort of a, not humane slaughter, but ethical treatment of animals. Like, I don't know what to call it. Like RSPCA assured or Red Tractor approved. But like, their policies do not state that they have to be surveillance, surveilled or whatever you call it. So obviously they can get away with whatever they want, because it happens behind closed doors, and when they have to go and do an inspection, they don't have to do it unannounced. In fact, they have to do it announced, because that's for some reason more legal to do it unannounced. So they never get caught. And that's why people do their own independent research. It's like, one day you visit a farm, you take a look at the state of it, record it, and it's like, oh, this isn't what I was expecting. You have this approval of being a ethical company, but no, that's not how it works. It's obviously not like that. So I don't really know how to explain it, but that's the point. No company or farm for that matter is consistent in that. So it's never going to be true. And that's why this probably aged well. It's about whistleblowers and showing the shittiness of companies. They don't do the right thing, so they're just trying to get efficiency for the sake of profit rather than ethics. And they won't describe to ethics because that's not efficient or economically viable. So yeah, so again, that's aged well. And then the episode sort of wraps up with Eric calling it apology, and then calling it processed garbage. Not sure how that last bit, the processed garbage. Like, if you actually looked at what's in these foods a lot of the time, I've seen people throwing this around a lot, and the problem is, when you call it processed, you're not even being consistent. You're not even calling out your own. Because there's far more processed things in animal-based meat than there is plant-based meat. And this is when we go into the elements that make up animal meat. It's not like overlooking into the microscopic level, it's more like we're looking into the levels of things we can measure here. Yes, well, plant-based foods might have that. I guarantee you it's not carcinogenic as much as animal meat is. And what we find is animals tend to be stuffed with microplastics and like vitamins, I think, as well, but often too much. Or I think there's even cases of antibiotic resistance because if they get infected on the farm when they're obviously mistreated, as per practice, because that's what they do, then that builds up an antibiotic resistance in people. I think it's antibiotic, could be wrong. Is it painkiller? I can't remember what it is. I'm pretty sure it's obviously anti-infection stuff. Yeah, so in terms of how the episode aged, I don't know. I said it was an okay episode. I don't think the message was very clear at all. It's like, okay, people can like this food, but people can also just outright dismiss it or just confuse it for something else or just do something shit with it. It's sort of hard to determine, I guess. It's crazy. So yeah, I don't know what to add to this, but that's my thoughts on that episode. So it might be worth a watch for some people. Again, that's my worry. So yeah, hopefully things change later on South Park. So it's not actually this uninformed/informed. There's a bit of both. It's sort of the middle ground. It's got the voices of concern, but also the points that are well made. And I sort of suspected they might be going towards like a middle ground where they implement the animal products with the plant-based products, which stupidly a company tried to do a few years ago and it didn't go well. Just because people wanted to lower their impact on the climate, and that's a stupid thing because you might as well just eliminate it all. Especially when the alternative is tastier. It will be cheaper to make as well. So yeah, hopefully it won't go that route, but it probably is a good call out if it does. Anyway, let's move on. Let's get on to another topic. So there's more reactions to the Genshin 6.2 Archon quest because I've been watching them. It's the second to last one as of, patch 6.3 obviously. Well, not last one, but not the last act. So it's acts 5 and 6. And I watched Brad's playthrough of this again. Brad seems to be kind of reliable. He started promoting weird shit in the next one, which I've seen him put himself, which is weird. These are other selling services which seem suspicious, so I'll just call that out now. I don't know why the fuck people are promoting these, because they seem really dodgy. Like insanely dodgy. I literally genuinely don't understand the logic behind supporting these, promoting them, whatever. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, that's a bit weird to me. Obviously rubs me the wrong way, in a certain way. So yeah, I'll go through the notes as I usually do. Yeah, and give my thoughts on some of this stuff. And yeah, and I need to do the Final Fantasy first. I've got 2 of those. It's weird. Here we go. So, I go to Columbianus, Act 5. Columbianus I passed because I got drunk and ended up at the Frostmoon Scion somehow. Windbloom in Nogcry. I was a bit confused about that. Phantom Abyssal monsters. How do we know that Aoife's spaceship? Well, that's Aoife's spaceship because it did just fly away apparently. And did Paimon just slip up as well? When confronting about that. Found that a bit interesting. Wasn't expecting Alice so soon, so that's kind of surprising. I still have a fear that Palmon is either a sibling or just a little evil. I don't think that's changed ever since the start of the game, really. Columbina is fading. Funny that Alice keeps tabs on Varka. And also, this has children, that she says they are, including Venti, which is fascinating. So Demetori the game sort of sense of humour in that sense. It was one of those things, I miss the game to an extent, but I don't miss it that much. I'm much happier with Final Fantasy XIV, albeit with its shortcomings on top of it. Yeah, I don't know, it's kind of been thinking Crawling makes friends, especially with Sandrone. I can see Columbina or Senso, which is interesting. Nicole meeting was interesting. Yeah, strange character, but funny. I just love the interaction. As awkward as you think it would be, because she's supposedly speaking telepathically. That doesn't actually speak, which is interesting. So it's a great gimmick for a character. I haven't really seen much of that before, I don't think. Hat Guy is back. Of course, he wants to find Doctor. He says that all the Harbingers are suspicious of Doctor. That's a word. He seems like someone who acts in self-interest, but so do the other Harbingers, to be fair. So I know about Doctor. I'm trying to think, what else is there here? Sandra and losing her potions with Doctor was funny. What else happens? So I get distracted. Columbia poking. A great voice actor, I forgot to say on that Doctor part. And Sandra and losing her patience is so good. Columbia poking Sandra with her ghost form. It's kind of funny. We learn her name, which is interesting. I forgot what that was in reference to. And finally, Wanda just revealed he's a puppet built from a white tree from the schools of Comia, which is fascinating. But that would also imply, because it wasn't Doctor who experimented on him first and then made him into that machine, or made that machine rather. So there's two theories for this I have. Either one, Doctor is a Carmian, or two, he has someone working for him who's from Carmian, which wouldn't surprise me. I think that's the more likely option. But given how intelligent he is, like in the next act, as you'll see, I don't know, it's hard to say. Like, it could very well be just another Tevat person. That's what the actual term. Tevatian. I don't know. But it's interesting. So, Act 6 start. So they're going somewhere else with this Kavaki power. I'm not 100% sure what these are. So even though they've been mentioned a few times, I don't actually recall them properly. It's just interesting stuff, as usual. So Aether is stronger than a Titan, a Stone Titan and an Arm Wrestle. Yeah, it's just an interesting part with Nicole, it was. Of course, Valkyrie is all talk, he lost in an instant. Of course, interesting how the Hexen Circle don't allow children to be involved in these experiments or work. And also, not enough people are able to do this task anyway, which is fascinating. And what happens? Where am I? Oh fuck, I can't remember where it was. I'm getting distracted. It's hard to multitask here. Just how this. Oh yeah, so they all go to this place that is realistically. No, that is basically rather based on rehashed Enkanomiya, which is yeah. I was never a fan of Enkanomiya. I hated that patch. It's so fucking bad. That story was decent, but the area was just horrible. It's one of the worst places to explore, in my opinion. I think it's almost as bad as Inazuma. It's the same patch anyway. It's obvious that their design philosophy changed over time, which is good. It's actually fucking needed, because no, I wouldn't go through that. So I think I said even if they made a patch where it's basically the same thing, I just won't play it. Why did Nicole turn into a Dodoka? Yeah, there's this, another one that talks in quotes. Other Hexen Circle there. Columbina loved Aether, which is interesting. Interesting interactions with Dory there. Oh my god, the fucking dad glitch. You have to look this up, guys. I'm not even joking. The fucking dad glitch is so funny. It's probably among the funniest game glitches I've ever fucking seen. Oh my god. It's just so goofy. It's like, it's probably the easiest mistake to make, but oh god, it's such nonsense. I love it. It's so funny. Yeah, even if you're not a fan of Genshin, you have to look it up. It's that funny. And I said, oh my god, what was this quest? Flying Dads, Cat Ears and Arlecchino and Sandrone and Columbina interactions. Yehoda being hit with a water balloon and then a farewell hug. And a Pokemon jump scare. So funny and wholesome. Over it. Columbina giving candy to Yehoda and fucking hates it. She hits him off, Yehoda. Yeah, I know, and interactions are funny. Brown's impression of Inefra is on point. Say farewell to Columbina, sets off the moon sage, and I forgot about the Demetori being somewhere, planning something, and of course he fucks everything up. But it does surprise me. Yeah, so he orchestrated this whole plan to seemingly kidnap Columbina for the moon or something. So I'm not sure what that was, but I knew he was planning something big. But as usual, like other people got so distracted with other things in this game, they just it made me forget about him. I just didn't realise. And the Hexen Circle called in to say what was going on was crazy about the borders being hit, and it seems like a attempt from Demetori to actually disrupt everyone's what they're going on, and especially kidnap Columbina without much effort. And that seemed to happen. It's just interesting. I wouldn't say it's like a great plot twist, but I think the only reason it works as a plot twist is because you're distracted. You got all these events leading up to it, and obviously something bad was going to happen to Columbina. We saw the fucking wholesome shit that happened in this quest. It's like that's a pace breaker, I guess. So, what's the next thing? This last thing, rather. I did click for me that Demetori interacted with those people in the past to get information, so yeah, that was interesting. That's the last thing I read. So it's a very interesting act. I think we're making progress now in terms of where the story's going and things finally fucking happening. It feels like it's been way too long, in all honesty. As I said, these felt like they should have come out a few years ago. And yet, it's coming out now, which is odd. And Brian is definitely right about having to release these every patch now, because it seems like the matter of urgency is just a lot more sooner. And if they don't do that, they've fucked up. It's going to be a bad patch, and I don't think anybody's going to like that, to be honest. I did notice that I don't think they've expanded the map or anything, which is fascinating. From what I could tell, anyway. So it seems like they're actually just focusing in on making the story first, and maybe even getting other sections in there, the workplace, whatever it's called, other officers to work on this, on the story aspects, which is good. I can't complain about that. That's objectively a good thing. But as I said, I wish it all came sooner. it's always the thing I come back to. It feels so lazy. It's just crazy. So I'm not sure what else to add here. Oh yeah, the other thing. I'm really impressed with how they've improved things in terms of how the game seems to have more interesting interactions and animations now. I can't remember where it was, but the fact that you have actual characters walking around in itself is just, it's not jaw-dropping, because to be honest it's the easiest thing to do probably, but it's appreciated. I can add that, you know, I can fuck with that, and that's a good thing, because before, when it was like, oh, you had to look at an NPC who represented the hero or someone, it was like, great, we don't fucking want this, so why? They seem to have fixed that for the most part here, which is good to see. It certainly gives me a bit of relief, especially for the fact that the game looked embarrassing to begin with, and the community just chose to put their head in the sand instead. Blah blah blah, listening, these aren't actually bad graphics, and they actually fucking are. But Jesus Christ, people do not have the eyes to play this game, and that's obvious. It's quite clear that people who play only anime games just don't have a fucking clue what good graphics actually are, good animation for that matter. So yeah, it's a bit weird to me. You know, it's easy to get lost in the fucking moment, but that, when you look at it from my perspective, and when you look at it whilst essentially zoomed out, you just start to realise that actually the game isn't all that good in terms of graphics. Yeah, it's not as good as it could be. That's the sad reality. So yeah, I don't know what else to add here, to be honest. But it's been interesting, I'll give it that. Certainly hope it improves in the future, but you know, I like the idea of that happening and then removing the gacha, which I really want to see happen. I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see. Can only hope that happens. So let's move on to the next topic. Well, I did it again. I started to use Mozilla Firefox because, given that the issue was probably related to Windows last time, I don't think I gave Mozilla a fair try on the second thought, and I'm happy to report that seems to be true for the most part. I will say my system does have some very small hitches every now and then still. And I'm using Mozilla, but I'm also using a new extension, basically the Tiemstamps, which is something that Mozilla doesn't have built in for some stupid fucking reason. Because productivity doesn't seem to be a priority for Mozilla, even though that's something they sort of fucking think they even advertise. So it's weird. Well, there's a massive hypocrisy there. Or at least they don't resource manage it. And so you end up with a situation where things are just fucking unoptimized, so an extension fixes the issue. And you know, it kind of sucks, to be honest, the fact that you have to install an extension for this to begin with. You know, like they could be doing so much better. I've also changed my theme to something else as well, because I sort of might have thought that maybe it has to do with it being animated, and to be honest, I prefer it without the animation now. Because the one I had was like a spinning earth with Firefox. You know, it's fitting the theme. I love foxes. Did I mention I love foxes? And I have a feeling that might have been causing performance issues as well. So it made sense to change the theme here as well to see. And I haven't noticed any performance differences, but I will say the visuals on this other extension are much better. You can actually see the address bar, you can actually see the text on it. It's not too unbalanced. There are still places where it's unbalanced, but it's good. And honestly I prefer having this other theme now. As for a volume thing, I have not found anything to replace that, because the volume thing was a big issue for me. and I essentially needed something to increase, decrease, or mono/equalize the volume, but there doesn't seem to be an extension which doesn't fuck up everything else, which is annoying, because for some places where you view like videos, for example a news article, Bond I've got a few, it will just block videos for some fucking reason. It'll just say there's like I think it's like AME error, SAME maybe, call me samey, I don't know. But it had some sort of fucking weird error which I've never seen in my life. First ever browser to have a video error like that, I think. Just nuts. Honestly, I don't know why that's happening. So yeah, it just didn't leave a good taste in my mouth, that, because it just didn't need to happen. If for some reason they think it's necessary to block video fucking players when there's an extension that changes audio, like fuck off. That's stupid. But why don't you have your own built-in thing then? Like this is a thing with Mozilla. They seem to think they know better than everyone else, even the community does. But that's not actually the case. Like at all. The only thing I ever learned from the community about Mozilla that ended up being true, and this is true for all browsers by the way, I didn't even know it's a thing, is that you can put all your like daily view pages, like I do, into a bookmarks folder, and then right click open all bookmarks, and I do that now. I press Ctrl B, I open the bookmarks, and that's a good alternative to obviously collections which I was using beforehand. And it's just disappointing to me that it took so long for somebody to mention this. No other browser users were mentioning this fact. I was constantly asking that I want collections of my like 16 plus pages or whatever it is, and they wouldn't even suggest that. Mozilla was the first one to suggest it, and it works. So I'm like, okay, great, thanks. And all the other browsers I used up to this point were kind of shit as well. I tried Brave, I tried I think Opera for a brief while. At that point it's like, I don't know, it's not worth it. So Mozilla became the next best option, and especially for a browser that seemingly has its own ad block. I'm not sure if it is true yet because I need to unsubscribe from YouTube Premium at some point, because unfortunately I did go for that because it's actually fucking pissing me off. I don't really watch frequent videos anymore, so maybe it's worth another try. But yeah, I just needed a browser that wasn't Chromium based to literally be able to play videos without this stupid delay. I don't know what it was with Edge, but for some reason whenever I was watching the, rather listening to the One Piece soundtrack, it was just have this delay in at the start for like 10 or 15 seconds, and I don't know what the fuck it was, because if it was like to do with ads, I wouldn't even see it, because I specifically blocked them because they fucking irritate me. That's the reason why. It's not because I want to fucking block them entirely. It's just because they irritate me. It's not good for my mental health, that's all. Especially if they're fucking tracking me. Yeah, like naturally I have legal and law grounds to do this. You won't win in a court case in this case. So it's like, fuck off. I don't know what to do with that. So I'm probably gonna try with a proper, obviously Mozilla having a uBlock Origin installed and stuff. I'm gonna try watching videos of ads in and see what happens. But yeah, so far my experience though of Mozilla, it's been positive, I will say. Hasn't had the lag issues as I said. That did seem to be Windows in the end. The only thing I noticed is that VPNs for some reason make internet really laggy. I don't know why. It never used to be the case on Edge. Meanwhile, if you're not on a VPN, it can load pretty quickly. Or reasonably quickly rather, I just checked. But it loads about the same time. So I don't know. Just weird stuff. I'm not sure exactly what to say. It's certainly worth it now for the most part. I will see how long that lasts anyway. don't know, something else might come up. So, yeah, let's move on from this topic. I was just thinking about nostalgia again recently. There's a weird fucking topic that comes to mind with nostalgia. I was thinking about TV shows I sort of used to watch, sort of grew up with to an extent, not entirely. There's quite diverse ones, but I'm not talking about childhood, I'm talking about teens. And obviously, other than the animes I've watched, like probably Sonic X a long time ago, and probably Transformers as well as a lot of things, High School Dead, the Gooner anime. But I used to watch things on just the television as well. It wasn't just computer. And I was thinking about this because of watching Pyrion Flax playing Football Manager, but watching a TV show on the side called Chomp, which I've never seen before. So it's interesting to look back on what I used to watch in my teenage years, and there were shows like Grand Designs, there was Jeremy Kyle, I'm pretty sure there were other ones as well. I can't remember the exact names, but those were the two I remembered most. And then this sort of brings up another topic. Jeremy Kyle. I think if anyone's unaware, I'll explain. His show was cancelled because one of the guests, I suppose they're called, committed suicide after his show. And I'm not sure if it was the direct blame for the suicide, but either way, there was a lot of things about this show, given its nature of bringing in the most unintelligent people, essentially exploiting them, and causing massive drama and controversy. Like, why do people go on here to look like an arse? Look like an arse, really. That's all it is. Like, why do they go on there to look like that? And it brought up the ethical concern about whether it's actually okay for this show to air, given what it's obviously showing. There's obviously people who are vulnerable enough to think that everything that is said is like true and trusted, especially if it comes from a person who deals with familial issues, which he's not. In fact, it was the other guy, like, I think he was called Graham. I think he was more qualified because he was, I think, actually like a therapist or something. I could be wrong. But yeah, it's like a weird show to fucking watch. I didn't enjoy it that much. Especially the sad topics. Like, they brought in people every now and then to talk about some of the most heartbreaking moments. Like, talk about people who commit suicide in prison, kids who fucking died of cancer. It's like all sorts of horrible shit. It's like, I don't, like, it's not that I don't care about this stuff, it's just too sad. I just don't want anything to do with that, to be fair. I'm pretty sure most people don't. Yeah, it just always left a sour taste in my mouth coming out of that. Yeah, even though there's some great moments in that for sure that didn't involve the people. Like, you had like the bodyguard Steve. It was quite a house favourite of mine, I'll say. Of ours, rather. And yeah, that's nice and all, but the show itself is just flawed. I think it's flawed from the beginning. And the fact nobody even called it out is concerning. So, sorry, I can't control that. If she came on, fuck it up. But yeah, the show is just questionably made. And obviously, with the sort of guests they have, it's like, it's an embarrassment. People on there appear as an embarrassment, and the other embarrassment, I suppose, is that people are just crazy fucking selfish as well. You get a variety of people on that show. So it just wasn't a pleasant scenario for anyone, I don't think. And it's one of those shows that really did make you question about how ethical it was to even have these people to begin with. Given that they are seemingly unintelligent, I reckon if there was a study done, probably of just people asking behind the scenes, guarantee you they'll pick the people who just display the least intelligence. And they do that obviously by looking at the qualifications they have and stuff. Looking at what other people say about them, sort of thing. There's probably a bunch of criteria. And I'm pretty sure there was something out there explaining how that is actually what's going on. But they did pick the most mentally vulnerable people. It's got a crappy, not mentally vulnerable as in, depression and stuff, but more like people who are not as intelligent. And there's obviously something going on there as well, if you can't tell. It's also the people who just reacted the most insane to. It's one of the other things I've noticed. The fact that someone's just so willing to fucking jump on each other. It's just, that demonstrates that. Yeah, it's not a crazy show for that. I'm not really sure why anyone would like it, and I'm sure there's probably an archive out there of every single episode. Yeah, like these people are also like stereotypical British. If you want an idea of the dumbest British people you can see, look no further than Jeremy Carr. Literally, textbook fucking the most British person probably. Weirdly enough, I think I've got a bit of French in me, so that explains a lot. Oh, but yeah, so I'm going to move on. This is something I didn't ever expect to do, but it's sort of in defence of certain types of people out there, although I guess it depends on the research, but I guess I'm a case where this didn't happen. So as everyone probably knows in the UK, if you're following the reform stuff, people probably know that Nigel Farage has been essentially exposed for being a complete racist in his childhood. And, well, I've got a few things to say about that. Because, other than the fact that this could be illegitimate, I don't really care. It's still wrong. His party is fucking wrong. It's literally a fascist regime. But you can't really base someone's character on what they did in childhood. Let's be completely honest about that. I don't think that's really a fair judgment to make. And I say this because, in reality, a lot of things we do as children don't really make sense to others. Like, fuck, like one of the weirder things I did as a child, when I was young, was I tried to hunt people. But that's not even that surprising, because every child does that probably. And yes, it's technically sexual assault. But people don't seem to want to take that on board. Like, they don't want to think that children don't sexualise people, which is completely false. They do. It happens a fucking lot. But I think one of the more controversial things that really gets people's attention nowadays is just the reality that certain children are just growing up to be bigoted, and they might not even hold that belief still. I know I sort of did myself to an extent. I'm also ashamed of it. If I was to explain one of the worst things I ever did regarding that. But yeah, literally, people seem to think it's always from parents, but it can also be from a lack of education from parents, which in itself is a problematic thing. Because, guess what? I didn't end up being taught about some of these things, and I ended up making a mistake. And it landed me in detention at some point, I think. I could be wrong about it, but I swear I got detention for one of the things I did. So, starting in primary school, I'd never been exposed to a black person. And yeah, you probably know it's a setting. So, I never was familiar with the idea of people with a different skin colour. So, as a kid, that was confusing as fuck. And it didn't really make sense to me. And guess what? There wasn't any education. If there was, I wouldn't have done anything. I wouldn't have listened. because my my situation in primary school was just terrible. I hated going there. I wanted to be at home all the time. It was so bad that I ended up trying to escape classrooms oftentimes. That did land me in some sort of isolation room where they had those back then. That was like 2004, I think. Still had that, which is interesting. So I was often there because I just didn't want to be in school. And they didn't really have a safe place for me. So it was shitty overall. But naturally, because I had no room to learn anything, I didn't want to learn, I ended up being somewhat of a nuisance and even just an arsehole. But because they don't really teach any social issues, it became a problem as well. Because the social issues, I'd argue, are quite a bit more important than your standard education. Because they end up having real life consequences. Especially as the UK evolved with its laws, it certainly became the case where certain acts of discrimination could easily be persecutable. That's why it's so important to acknowledge that sort of thing and give people the right tools, or children the right tools to that. So anyway, first time I was exposed to a black person, I was naturally come out with the most fucking childish things. Chocolate skin, chocolate person. Just, that's pretty much all I could come up with. And it's like, I'd often pick at him. I wasn't bullying him, but I'd say like, I'd bring up my skin colour every now and then. I don't think it was like bordering bullying. If it was, it's a horrible thing. And I never really was taught about that. Like, nobody came up to me and said, oh, you know, they're black because they actually come from a country where their skin colour is different. It's more, say, accommodating towards the environment they're in, which is why they have black skin colour. If I'm not mistaken, it's like the warmer the place, the darker the skin colour. Which is quite interesting because I'm pretty sure that your body doesn't regulate temperature well, given that it absorbs more sun if it's darker. But you know, it gets weirder and weirder to me because I wasn't even brought up on that at all. And come secondary school time, when I was obviously quite busy with that and going into my first few classes, one of our first lessons early on was to make I think it was like a collage or something, or some sort of thing about racism. And obviously, having been taught social issues, I actually thought, you know what, this might be an opportunity to put something in there, because I don't know what racism is. And you know, all I was told was like it's about the person's skin colour. So I was like, oh, okay, well, why don't we just kill them? Yeah, literally, that's where it went, because nobody taught me. And my parents obviously hadn't told me anything about it other than the fact it's about someone's skin colour. So I think I ended up handing in some work one day, some homework regarding that. I hadn't even shown it to my parents, I think, which is where they took issue. It was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you can't bring this into school. And I'm like, why? I really didn't understand what the issue was. I literally wasn't taught anything racist either. This just came from my own imagination. And it wasn't taught. That's a really important thing there. It's not always the same scenario for everyone else. Just because it happens to one person doesn't mean it happens to every child for the matter. That's why I can't stress it enough when I just say that some hatred just isn't actually taught. It just comes either naturally, or some people are just left in the dark about things. Which is what happened there. I was in the dark. I wasn't actually taught anything. Who's to blame? Nobody. I suppose there is only one sort of consensus there, which is the parents should have taught me, my parents. And that is true for every child, but sometimes you also get parents that teach them the wrong things. Obviously, as the years went by, I started to change my mind on that stance when I was told that it's actually horrible, and I think I got detention for it. Could be misremembering. But it was a lesson in itself, obviously, to actually have that exposed, and I can't remember what it was. I swear I have like memories from this, but I just can't remember them properly. I don't know if I was even used for an example of like, oh, this is racism. I don't know if that even happens, but I don't know. Yeah, it's a crazy scenario because this is the importance of being taught things, and as a child you do things a lot differently. You know, a lot of the times as children we were saying and doing things that we wouldn't be able to do today, let alone want to do. You know, dropping the casual N-word, calling everyone retarded, calling people faggots, all that sort of shit. There's even like terms like minge, which are still kind of popular, but are not as used as often. And minge was banned word at school, by the way. But we all say these things not really knowing what it is, and we just conform to it, I guess. It's one of those things we hear from a child, and it's like, oh, yeah, we're gonna follow this trend now. Obviously, it's not always the right thing to do. I think people need to understand that it's not always the case, where it comes from, again, parents or just the child being really fucked up in the head. There could literally be mistakes, like mine was. You know, I wasn't taught anything. I wasn't even taught about these words being bad. It's like pretty important. So yeah, I think if we're basing characters of adults based on their childhoods, then we should also be looking at ourselves. I really don't understand that. It's like whenever we look for these points of criticisms in people, now what good is it going to fucking do? If anything, it's going to backfire. You know, how many democratic people have we got that have literally done the same shit I've done? Like, come on. It's probably quite frequent. And that's just going to happen because of the nature of children. To be fair, this is like one of the reasons I just don't like children in general. Like, literally, I think I'm almost developing paedophobia because, to me, it does seem like a case where the more I learn about children, the more I fucking hate them. And also, when I reflect on it from childhood, it's like, oh, okay, you're all just bunch of little shits, like what the fuck. And it's frustrating because I don't know if they actually mean that. But at the same time, I have not only just met, but also witnessed children who are just more compassionate about things, who are more caring. It's bizarre, it's like a strange middle ground. It's like both from knowing from school and both knowing from being online a lot. Like literally, a lot of my Steam friends, I'm pretty sure were minors. I didn't know one personally, but you know, that was something that I didn't even know about. Because again, there was a lack of education. It didn't even fucking click for me that adult minor was a bit weird. Yeah, it's one other embarrassing thing from my past. I don't really know what to add here. Yeah, again, it's important not to look on childhood for facts, even though it can reveal some things, as we've seen with studies. The sort of animal abuse culture that can stem from childhood and lead to issues in adulthood if they're left unchecked, obviously. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say here, but that's my thoughts on this really. Just bringing up the idea that childhood, again, is not a good basis for someone's character at all. In fact, as I said, I was very selfish as a child. I was like, saying don't donate anything to charity because it's sort of a scam. There's a bunch of weird shit I was doing back then. You know, you can't always be one of the correct as a child, and it's kind of a difficult spot. It's like, I don't think it's that black and white. It's definitely a grey area in these aspects, but there are situations where obviously you can force morality onto children because you have to. You know, you can't let children just be children. It's like, if you found out, like my parents luckily did, that you're being racist or you're hurting someone, like, you fucking deserve whatever punishment's coming to you. Like, it's just objectively the thing that needs to be drilled into you. I hate to say it because I've been a victim of child abuse in that sense. But at the end, I don't know what the best option is. It fucking sucks, but I don't know what the best option is, and nobody suggests it. Because I'm willing to learn, but nobody suggests anything. So it doesn't actually get addressed. So children are just left to their own fucking devices and they're gonna kill people. Like, great. Thanks for not doing anything about this. It's just so dumb. It also reminds me of that story. What was it? Is it like Channel 4? It's become shit for some reason. I think it was Channel 4. They made a sort of a, not documentary, but they documented these things happening in these prison/school places. It's like a place for both. Yeah, it's like the children there were so misbehaved that they willingly committed sexual assault against teachers, which is just absolutely fucking dystopian. That shows a demonstration of what's wrong with not only just the justice system, but schools in general. And places like this where they're trying to do something that doesn't exactly work as a concept. Or they think that it works because it's going to address all the problems, but it's not what's going to happen. You know, we need to address the bigger problems. As I said before, why aren't children going to school? We should lift that up. It's because people are not happy. They learn from their phones, which is a problem in itself. But it can be good, but not always. But it's also the fact we're in a political climate where children are going to be fucked over by the government, making them paedophiles. And to be honest, they are. Like America textbook. Literally, every sense of the word, literally they are. And I don't really know how to address other than taking things to the next level. Just doing things properly. Taking proper action, even at the risk of maybe one's own life, but that's the risk you have to be willing to take to save others. I don't really know any other solution, so it's kind of difficult to call that out. Anyway, so I have this to fix, so let's move on. I've finally been able to put something into words, and I think I need to talk about it to an extent. I was thinking about this after seeing, weirdly enough, just a Twitch chat the moment I wanted to into stream on the comments. Just jokingly saying, where's it gone? The fuck, it's disappeared. I think it said like word on the street, everyone's trans now. It's like, everyone's transgender. That's maybe one of the earlier comments. No. I can't see it. That's a bit frustrating, but I wanted to talk about this anyway because I'm thinking about how there's a lot of just transphobia in the world now, just as a result of scumbags existing. And also, I was talking about the South Park episode as well, where someone was identifying as transgender. It's actually a recent one, season 23, episode 8, I think it is. Heather, someone, basically ex-quote-unquote boyfriend of Strong Woman. And I think it's got an interesting message about how people will exploit their positions essentially to get into these places of power, and they won't show up until they've actually lost at something to a girl. So it's like they exploit the position of obviously being transgender to be someone at something rather than it just being about sports, like a lot of people focus it on. And it's kind of ironic when people talk about trans sports and they think, yeah, well, obviously they're like masculine if they're a trans woman, so obviously they're going to have an advantage. That perfectly demonstrates my issue here, because nobody's read up on this, and they're already assuming massive implications here. And the reality is, with transitioning, it comes with complications, it comes with medication, it comes with therapy, it comes with a lot of different things. And it's not as simple as, oh, I'm a girl now, I'm going to go into a tennis tournament or so. And I sort of wish they gave it the special ed treatment in this episode, I'll be honest. Where, Eric was like, not special ed, Special Olympics treatment. They had an episode on that too, in South Park. I wish he fucking got his ass handed to him by the women, but he's portrayed as being extremely muscular instead. She rather, like, fucking not going over last night. It's like a rage of, you know what, you're doing this just to exploit your position, but I'm forgetting the important part, which is being respectful, even in the face of that. So I think it's really important. But what was I getting at? Oh yeah, Special Olympics treatment. Yeah, I just wish you guys has handed him in the sports part. But the final part was satisfying too, especially. But I think when it comes to these topics as well, it's like the frustration about it is people really rile themselves up about these topics and just really try to misunderstand it in some way that suits their narrative, and ironically a lot of the time they don't even want to change their mind. And that in itself is a huge problem, but it makes you wonder, all these people who go out there putting the effort into protest or just harass somebody who is obviously trans or someone else, like, why aren't you putting it into something more useful? Like trying to find out if you're actually fucking right. I don't understand. I'm glad I didn't actually start recording when I made the comment on the South Park episode, because fuck, I wouldn't have aged well. I definitely realised I was wrong after thinking about it. When I came out of it, it's just like, wait, I'm missing something here. I can't actually justify the misgendering just based on the fact that it was with malicious intent, and of course someone is also exploiting that position and also not being very credible because of the fact that they were obviously previously an ex-boyfriend. I'm assuming they're doing it to harass people, but then you see the Heather, she's called, beating up other women in this sport, as per the sport anyway. And it just kind of makes you realise, like, oh, that's what's happening. Like, you're exploiting this position not just to get back at your ex, but you're trying to literally put a point out there about trying to be masculine, trying to be this fucking master race of men or something stupid like that. Yeah, it's just gross stuff. It just makes you realise, like, why aren't you putting that effort into actually realising something about these people, the people you hate, which ironically enough should be enough motivation for you to look into it. I know I've done that in my lifetime. I've done it with a few things. I did it with pedophilia, I've done it with racism, I've done it with sexism as well, I've done it with quite a few different topics. And even LGBTQ+, where I was formerly transphobic myself and also a bit homophobic. I did the research and it's like, oh, well, if they can't change it, then it's not their fault. A lot of these things can often come down to that, except for the isms which are derived from derogatory or discriminative things. And that's a different topic entirely. But I do really think that education is important. But seriously so. It does help, and it could even help make the world a better place. And if everyone does the same thing, It could stop a lot of this bigotry. It could stop a lot of the harm that's happening. And it could even save America. I'm not even fucking joking. A lot of the times when I see these videos of ICE, as usual, they're just making a complete arse of themselves. I'm just sitting there wondering, why the fuck did you sacrifice dignity in favour of this? In favour of a type of oppression when nobody wins, including yourself. Especially yourself. You don't win. I seriously do not understand that. It just doesn't add up to me. So it's just like, fucking hell. I really do not get it. So, yeah, I just wish they would fucking start doing the right thing. Again, I'm fed up of hearing news stories every single day about how things are just like, just everyone's fucking dying. That's the problem. Because of their thing, the things that they're doing. And on top of it, you've got people building on top of the exploitation of it, pretending to be ICE agents, and then fucking arresting and human trafficking. There's seriously an injustice here. Absurd amount of injustice for that matter. So I just wonder, why the hell are people putting their effort in this? Why don't you just read up on things that are fucking relevant to the topic you're attacking? Ask why people immigrate. Ask why people of a certain race have higher crime rates, which unfortunately is usually true. It's not objectively true though, because it's different based on where you go. It's different from location to location, but again, that's why education is important. So yeah, don't really know what to fucking ask you. It just really annoys me. I don't know what noises. Check this out. Someone making fucking noises in this house again. It's just absolutely stupid. Nobody. Right. Alright. That's a nice one, there's a ghost in the house. But, you know, this is the other thing. It's like when you look into these things, you get less frustrated. It's actually the only antidote for this frustration. When I hear about grooming gangs in the UK, I'm often thinking like, well, what's your idea of a grooming gang? Like, literally. Because based on what I hear of it, people only think it happens to be full of immigrants. And we know that's not true, because literally the primary suspects in these gangs are white British people, not immigrants. So a lot of this shit doesn't even add up, and that's why educating yourself is so important. Don't listen to the outrage or the emotion. Listen to the fucking demonstrable evidence. Listen to an opposing side. See if they find something that's compelling. You know, I still see people have like sugar-free drinks and like a weird contrast, and still try to justify it, saying it's healthy. But the evidence really isn't that black and white. And I've seen cases where these drinks cause cancer and even like health problems, like internet problems. It's just not healthy. And yet people still defend it like it's the morally correct thing to do, even though it's pretty indefensible. Like, no drink should have this much fucking sweetener in it. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, that's why it's so important to read. It's not often what you believe or think is the correct thing, it's what the evidence says. I could even be wrong about things about homosexuality. I could be wrong about anything, even trans people. But that's to be seen. Like, just because we haven't found it yet, it doesn't mean that it's oh fuck, I forgot how I was gonna word this. It doesn't mean it's true. I guess it's yeah, just because we haven't found it doesn't mean it's true, what you believe. Literally. It's just absurdity. I don't really know what else to add, but yeah, so I think I'll move on now. got stuff to do. So yeah. It is another thing, sort of similar to the Minecraft movie thing I mentioned. I'm also not willing to support GTA 6, and there's quite a few reasons why. There's a Rockstar union busting thing, and it's just being shitty. I think it's union busting anyway. I'm pretty sure it was because Novara Media covered it, which is unusual. They don't usually cover the gaming companies, but sure. But yeah, the fact it's so controversial now is worrying. But I have issues with also how it's been received, how the game has been received rather. And my big issue with this is why the fuck? Hang on, I've lost my train of thought. Oh god, it's actually gone now. What the hell? We just watched a memory disappear. Better retrace my steps. So yeah, like the reception. That's it. The reception of GTA 6 itself being a problem for me. I just find that it's so annoying to see when it becomes all that's said in the media. I get fucking bored of it. I'll be honest. It's just tiring. And I just don't want to see this anymore. I don't want to see anything GTA 6. Because I know it's just going to ruin my perception of the game and its community as well. But then there's also stories about people, obviously there's leaks and stuff, but people trying to get footage of the game early by flying drones near their office and faking IDs to get in. What the fuck? Are you kidding me? This is how insanely just crazy they are. It's bizarre. So, yeah, I don't know. So, why am I listening to a stream all day? This is distracting me. But I just don't want to interact with GTA 6 because there's also the fact that everyone who ever interacts with it becomes a fucking piranha. It's not how worried that I would because I'm not that deprived of joy in my life. Like, fuck, I still enjoy a lot of simple things, but for other people it's like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna get everything I can from this. I'm gonna sneak into the office and get the footage, get an early access build or some shit. It's just so stupid. It's just scummy as well. Like, seriously, fuck off. It's tiring. And I just don't want to fall into that trap of supporting them. It's just insanely bad. I don't want to see this crap. So I don't know what to add to. Like, I just don't want to support GTA 6, obviously. And, you know, as a game itself, I already know it's going to do well, and I already know people are going to fucking play it. Do I want to be a part of that? As well as all these other things? No, I don't. So I just don't want to have anything to do with it. I'm beyond this point of conforming to what's popular. I'm more about enjoying myself, enjoying my life as it is, without the need to fucking get this crappy ass community or developers company, you know, I'm talking about. I just don't want anything to do with these. I want to get away from that as much as possible. And even then, I'd just much rather watch someone else play this. It's been the way I've done things for, what, 15, 16 years? I'd say. Yeah, I'd say 16 years. It's back out all the way back when I used to watch PewDiePie. Yeah, he played The Last of Us, I think it was. He played a lot of different games, Happy Wheels. But yeah, that's how it's always been for me. Yeah, even if a game is like really popular, I don't necessarily want to play it. It could not be interesting to me, it could be frustrating to play. There's different reasons why. No one answer for all. But anyway, it's just my thoughts on this. I just think it's frustrating to see whenever this happens. Yeah, the world could be better, but for some reason, yeah, people just don't want it to be, and they continue supporting this shit. Jesus Christ, and then they say, oh, but me paying for it doesn't make a difference. Of course it fucking does. Like, the amount of people who say that and then buy it, like, you had the power and the option to begin with, and then you took it for granted. Like, great. It's like my same response to the people who play Pokemon games and find them very stale now. Like, literally the same thing, you said the same shit, and you got the same shit for it. And nothing's changed here, and you're the only one who's not breaking that cycle. And ironically, that goes for a lot of things in life. It's not just games, it's just everything, general products, even relationships. Like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, relationships are technically transactional, so it does count there too, I believe. Yeah, let's move on to another topic, and I've got code my nails for some reason. I must be making a choice, so thanks for watching. Let's cut this off quick. It's been interesting, some interesting topics. Some weirdness as well. That's not surprising.